I am Dracula. I bid you welcome.
It's alive!
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Google gobble, Google gobble.
We belong dead.
Have a potato.
Welcome to this final episode of The Good, the Bad and the Universal. Well, final for the foreseeable future. You never know what Universal doing their extended cinematic universe stuff. Your host, Mark and Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Right, okay. Dracula Untold came out last year, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
A specific intentional effort from Universal to start what they called the Universal Monsters Cinematic Universe. It's even called, I've seen it referred to as the UMCU. So it's like a thing. Right.
Yeah.
Apparently this was a box office success.
Yeah,
I kind of remember the ads. I'll tell you what though, Luke Evans reminds me of Dominic Cooper, who's also in this film.
Yeah.
And he also reminds me of Carl Urban a bit. But he was good in the Hobbit films as Bard, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was pretty good. Funny enough, he looked older in those than he did in this, which is a bit odd. What was your general impression of this one?
I thought it was... Luke Evans himself was pretty good as Dracula. It's just everything around him was really silly, or
it was kind of a
very
combination
interesting.
of silly and way too serious for the material.
Yeah.
And the material really couldn't support that seriousness. They were kind of, I think they kind of based some of it on 300. The feel was kind of a bit 300.
Yeah.
And it was kind of way too goof. You need someone, I don't know. It worked well with Gerard Butler, say.
Yeah.
And the high camp in that kind of work. But this, it didn't quite work for me at all. Let's talk about what we didn't like and then maybe what we did. How about that?
Yeah.
So you've already alluded to a few things you didn't like. What were the weaknesses of the film?
The villains kept... Well, at first it sort of seemed it was going to be fairly simple. They kept doing sort of very overly evil stuff for the sake of being overly evil.
Yeah.
I know the Turks were bad with what they did, but come on. Like, having one walk up to a boy and go, his skin is so soft, and start stroking
I thought that
his
was just
face.
silly, trying to make him look evil. I like the idea that Dracula was, like, obviously a complete badass when he was in the Turkish army as a janissary.
And even the Turks keep referring to him as Lord Impaler.
Impaler, yeah, so he was a serious business kind of dude. Now, I don't know if any of that stuff was... about Dracula himself was true, but there was this whole janissary thing intrigued me. I looked into it. Yeah, it did exist.
The Impaler was he was
in that, was he?
Like
That
Depeche.
is something I never knew. He was. I mean, it was basically the Ottoman Empire, which was more Moorish Muslim, would take mostly Christian, but some Jewish children to recruit into an army. They weren't allowed to take other Muslims as slaves, you see. So basically they had to be slaves. So they never did it to other Muslims. So they took these Christians, mostly Christian boys, trained them up to be like a warrior elite, and they were real badasses. And then they became like an aristocratic class within the empire themselves. So it's kind of an interesting story all on its own, which I never heard of it before. Amazing story.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a bit of that, and he was like vowing he'd never let his son be the same, and all this, that, and the other. And it turned out that Mehmet II, was it the Emperor? I wasn't sure.
Sultan.
It was a Sultan. It was played by Dominic Cooper. Pretty good. Didn't have much wrong. You know what he reminded me of? Like a young Tim Curry.
Yeah, he
looks.
had that sort of look about him.
Yeah, not in character necessarily, but he definitely looked like Tim Curry in this. And they kind of browned him up a bit to look a bit more Arabic, and it was quite good makeup. It didn't look like a white guy browned up. He kind of had an Arabic look to him. So it worked quite well.
Yeah.
And there was like various cackling Ottoman villains.
Yeah.
They tried, I think, to make them not look too Arabic. I think, in this world, they didn't want to insult anyone. There was some blonde, fair-skinned blonde soldiers in the Ottoman Empire in this film as well. There was an interesting bit where the I was going to say the Count, but Dracula, the prince, he was a prince in this, was out scouting and they found an Ottoman, a Turkish soldier helmet, and there was a big weird claw mark through the metal, so it's fairly impressive.
Yeah.
And they realised it had come from somewhere on Broken Tooth Mountain and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm sort of going on about the good bits. Let me just get the bad bits out of the way. I thought it was too grim for its own good. The third act, the final bit of the film, which I won't spoil, I felt was a bit silly, but I kind of liked it. It was kind of goofy. It reminded me, and I know you haven't seen this, it reminded me a bit of the ending of the Battlestar Galactica TV series.
Oh, is that the one where they all just went back to Earth?
Yeah, kinda. There was elements of that
into the sun.
I can't remember about that bit. But it was kind of. I'm going to spoil it if I go on any for. But I did like some of the stuff. I certainly like the fact he walked out alone to fight an army.
Yeah,
was kind of crazy and silly, but kind of fun. I kind of liked it. The fact he kept turning into hordes of bats and then
that was very cool.
He took out an entire army.
Yeah, this is what I mean when I said. I remember last time I said I liked the idea of sort of a very powerful Dracula, but he kind of keeps it under wraps. This is what the sort of power that I mean. Yeah,
I mean, there's no way this was a horror film.
No.
This was an action film. Sure. I'll tell you the bits I liked. Everything with Charles Dance. Every aspect of that bit. And also the bit going in the cave with the vampire. Charles Dance was effectively Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And it was very cool. I like that vampire aesthetic. And I thought Charles Dance is pretty great. It was kind of a cross between Nosferatu and sort of Death. Is how he kind of when you imagine Death in popular, things like The Seventh Seal and Bill and Ted. And
I almost said Bill and Ted.
Yeah, well, it was kind of.
No, that's a bit silly for this. Then
No. He was good. He was camping it up, but Charles Dance is really good at this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it really worked well, and it was kind of good. We kind of get a shot of him at the end as well, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And they set up this goofy story about Dracula can be bit by a vampire, and if he doesn't drink blood in 3 days, he'll get cured again.
No, it wasn't.
Or something.
It wasn't. He gets bit. He has to drink the blood of a vampire.
Yeah.
And then he'll have the powers of a vampire
for 3 days.
For 3 days, unless he feeds, and then he permanently becomes a vampire.
Yeah, but the weird there's some really silly elements. There's he took out an entire army, and then his own people turn on him.
Yeah, they immediately turn on him. Start calling him a monster.
A monster, but then that gets all resolved immediately. And
he comes out shouting and starts kicking houses down.
Yeah, and then,
you're not going to argue with him. Then.
I suppose so. No. But then we're going to get into some spoilers. It has to be said.
Yeah. We always get into spoilers.
Basically, he kind of to fight his wife dies. In essence, and this was obviously going to be the action that turns him.
Yeah,
and she begs him to drink her blood to make him maintain his power, so he does, which lets out the Nosferatu guy, who I thought was going to turn up actually on the battlefield. He didn't, which is a shame. That would have been real fun.
I thought it was going to end up with a vampire fight between the two of them.
Oh, I didn't expect that. I thought he'd side with. As a last parting gift, he'd side with Dracula. That's what I was expecting. It didn't happen. The Moors get their ass royally kicked, but also Dracula turns a number of his people, women, men, soldiers, to vampires to help him fight, so they all clear out the camp. But then they turn on him.
Yeah,
and he goes to rescue his son, which is ridiculous.
He turns them so that they can help him rescue his son, who's been kidnapped by the Sultan. And then they immediately turn around and go, you need to eat him too.
Yeah. And like I say, there was a bit of it. There was obviously some influence of 300 in this, because they actually stopped an Ottoman invasion of Europe.
Yeah.
Somehow, I mean, hey, that came out of somewhere. Now, having said that, I do know the Balkans did resist the Ottoman Empire, and it could have been quite a different thing if the Ottomans had got through the Balkans, but they didn't.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Vietnam, the Balkans, for people invading it. You could get lots of people have invaded it, but something tragic always happens. And basically he becomes a vampire and stuff.
Yeah.
One of the problems with the film is it does feel like a pre-story, really.
Yeah.
It's an origin story. In fact, the original title, Dracula Year Zero, gives that away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's a better name than Dracula Untold, though.
It is a bit like the sort of text crawl that you have at the start of a good vampire film.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah. He was all right. I think there was other actors who could have done it a little bit. I would have liked it a bit more if it was a bit more Lugosi, to be honest.
Yeah.
And a bit.
It was a bit
Oldman.
short-tempered.
It was a bit Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
A bit like Dracula in Van Helsing. Though I did like Richard Roxburgh a lot more than Luke Evans in this. But Luke Evans was fine. And eventually it kind of ties up with the Dracula story we're more familiar with.
Yeah, it gets introduced
but
to
it's set in a modern London, isn't it?
It's like modern, I guess it's London.
Yeah. Well, it is London. It was London, yeah.
So that I thought was kind of cool is there's like sort of a throwaway line in the book where they're talking about how Dracula talks. They say he speaks perfect English, but they can't really, something always sounds off about it.
Yeah.
And something, well, I'm not just going to say it's Mina.
Yeah.
She just says, "Oh, where are you from? That accent's weird." And he's just talking regular English.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. That's a nice pickup. I just like Charles Dance hovering in the background as well. And he says the line, "Let the games begin," suggesting again this is a set-up story for a future film, which it might well be. I don't know. You know, we'll see. I didn't think it was a great film, I have to say. It was a pretty weak film, but I kind of enjoyed it. Apparently there was a Baba Yaga character in this film, which they cut, which is a real shame. I would have loved to have seen a Baba Yaga, but they didn't do anything with that. I mean, that would have tied up some old myths quite nicely, Russian stuff and stuff like that. It was a box office success.
Yeah, critical failure.
Was it?
Critics hated it.
Oh, did they? It wasn't very good. Let's have a look at the scores. On IMDb, it's 6.3. That's quite high. I'm not going to check any others. What would you give it out of 10?
I'd give it a 6, yeah. I'd agree with IMDb, but if you look on like Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic, it's like 2 stars.
Okay.
10.
Well, I've already rated this on Letterboxd. I give it a 4 out of 10. I didn't think it was very good. The bits I really enjoyed. I mean, I like the initial action sequences. I thought they were fine, but I thought the story was a bit silly after that.
Yeah.
And also, I really like the Charles Dance stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the ways it handled things was a bit odd. It wasn't quite terrible. It's just a bit weird. Like, he just left his son on the throne. Why wasn't he on the throne? You know,
well,
at the end?
Did
he have
died.
to leave?
He died.
I see. They said it.
The whole point was that some gypsy came along and revived him afterwards. He didn't.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot that. Sorry. See, I've forgotten the film already.
Yeah, it is a really forgettable film. It's just sort of like action sequence, meet the vampire, action sequence, quiet moment, action sequence.
Yeah, I mean the wife was almost pretty forgettable.
Yeah,
I don't know who she was, but yeah, she didn't really stick in the mind. She wasn't as memorable, say, as the Brides of Dracula in Van Helsing. Or as memorable as Kate Beckinsale. I've forgotten her name. Anna, wasn't it? Anna.
She hasn't really done anything.
Yeah, she was kind of a bit. Yeah.
No, not just in the film. She hasn't really done anything.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I thought you meant. Yeah. Okay, but it was okay. What can you say? If it is a setup for a better one, let's hope they do a bit better next time.
I mean, Captain America 1 was awful. Captain America 2. And
I didn't mind Captain America 1 so much. I didn't think it was great. It wasn't very memorable, but it was okay. Yeah. The setup was okay. It set up an interesting sort of character. And Apparently, Sam Worthington was intended to play this. But I'm kind of glad Luke Evans did. I thought I would have liked to have seen Dominic Cooper have a go. Actually, that would have been kind of fun.
He was good as the vampire in Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, he
Vampire
was.
Hunter.
He was. Yeah, so there was some cool stuff, but we'll see. Apparently, the intention is Charles Dance's master. His character is called Master Vampire. He's going to appear in lots of the Universal Monsters films that are coming. Okay. It's been equated to how Samuel L. Jackson pops up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
We're going to get Charles Dance.
That sounds like it could be kind of cool.
Yeah, there's some potential there.
Like he just comes and picks up the Frankenstein's monster after it falls into it.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the end of our Universal run.
Yeah.
Until more films come, but pretty much it is the end of our Universal run. Let's recap what films we watched. We can even talk about them in terms of the Universal Cinematic Universe to come, maybe, and talk about who might be good actors for various. But if I reel out the films we've watched, and we can talk about what we thought was the best and worst of those, or the intermediates, we can rate them as we go.
Yeah.
The very first one we watched is Dracula.
Yeah, that was really
pretty
good.
solid. Frankenstein was next.
Yeah.
Mummy.
Not as good, but
it was good,
still
but
pretty good.
It's hard to remember now, isn't it? It hasn't really stuck in the mind. Old Dark House.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good, and that sticks in the mind. And I keep thinking back on it whenever I see a film with like a mad family, or a house with a
you keep
slightly
thinking
odd.
back on it whenever we have a potato for tea.
Yeah, I do.
Every time we have potatoes, have a potato.
Okay. Freaks, which isn't a Universal film, but we just jammed it because Todd Browning directed it. Great film,
that was
though.
good.
Great film. Invisible Man, a lot of fun. Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Tip Top, I thought, that one. Black Cat.
Mm-hmm.
That was really exceptionally weird. What was it? What was he saying? Mumbo Jumbo, was it Mumbo Jumbo, perhaps? No, I can't remember the quote. You know the one I mean, then, don't you?
Yeah. No, what you're saying is a line from like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah, but that's from Black Cat. Yeah.
No, Mumbo, perhaps. Jumbo, perhaps not.
I'm getting it confused. Son of Frankenstein, very solid. Really good set design. Dracula's Daughter. Yeah, you didn't like that. I like bits of it, but it was it was definitely the weakest one we saw to that point.
Yeah,
and probably this is probably in our bottom of the list, but I thought it was still a solid film. It shows the quality of the films we watch. I think that's the weakest.
Yeah,
I think it's not a bad film. It's not great, but it's not bad. Wolfman. Yeah, tip top. Ghost of Frankenstein.
Not as much.
Not as much fun. No, unfortunately, Igor took a turn he was a bit nicer than that. If he'd have been the same Igor as Son of Frankenstein, this would have been a really great film. But yeah, it was a weak one. Phantom of the Opera. It was colourful, but Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
That was.
I like
good.
that one. Yeah, it wasn't that. Unfortunately, when you start getting into the monster medley kind of ones, they all kind of start merging. But it was a solid one. Son of Dracula.
No,
it had its moments, but it wasn't great. I'd say it's a bit above Dracula's Daughter, but still probably in the bottom of our list. I'd say the bottom one so far probably Phantom, Son of Dracula, Dracula's Daughter.
Yeah,
that's about it really. Yeah, for the low end. But hold on, we haven't finished yet. House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula. Not great. No. They had their moments. They were a bit nutty in places, but they weren't great. The plots were quite incoherent. It's almost like the monsters had their own stories and they tried to jam it all together into one film. That's how it kind of felt, didn't it? Certainly Dracula. I mean, and then we get Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
That was great.
That's in our top 5, probably.
Yeah.
I'd say. And the Three Creatures from the Black Lagoon movies, I personally like the first one much better than the others, but they were okay. Yeah. The first one wasn't great, I don't think either. It was okay.
Well, I really liked the first one.
Did you?
The second one was okay, if quite a lot of a retread.
Yeah.
It was a sequel in the same way that Evil Dead 2. I like.
Yeah. The second one was kind of fun. That was the one in the big fish tank.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. The third one was more forgettable.
Yeah.
It was okay. And then we get into the not real Universal, but inspired by Universal. Monster Go Home, tip top. Young Frankenstein,
Yeah.
yeah, excellent. Monster Squad,
Yeah, that was good in a different way.
in a
But
different way, yeah. And Van Helsing
yeah.
was okay.
Yeah.
Towards
Okay,
I'd start putting that towards the bottom, but it's
Yeah.
still okay. I think we haven't. I know you didn't like Dracula's daughter specifically, but I think all the others were okay. Really, maybe the house ones were a bit weak, but most it's been a pretty good run. We've had quite a good run, and then
Yeah.
finally Dracula Untold.
Yeah, that's below Van Helsing, really.
Oh yeah, definitely. I put Dracula Untold at the lowest of any of these. I'd rather watch Dracula's daughter or Son of Dracula, or any of the house films before I watch Dracula Untold again. Personally, anyway. So really, what are we expecting in the Universal Cinematic Universe? Definitely Frankenstein, obviously Dracula.
Yeah, Dracula's going to be in it.
Wolfman, possibly Invisible Man and Mummy.
Yeah. I reckon they're going to go with the sort of more modern, like, giant wolf monster rather than a wolf man.
Yeah, so it'd be all CGI.
Yeah.
It's a
Not that that's a bad thing.
yeah, it's a story to be told. I mean, they did remake it recently, didn't they? 2010, I think it
Yeah.
was. But
heard that
everyone
was pretty
kind of
bad.
hated it. I kind of thought it was all right, but I was kind of in the mood for that sort of thing when I watched it, so that I might have been more forgiving of it.
Yeah. Wonder what they're going to do with the creature.
Yeah, whether we have the Gillman back is an
I
interesting
hope we
thing.
do.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's been a good run. We've had a lot of fun. Things are going to change a little on the podcast. We're going to scale it back a little, and we're going to be focusing on just maybe one podcast a week.
Yeah.
We're just going to see how it goes for a little while. But we're also intending to watch The Flash, aren't we? The TV series
Yeah.
The Flash as part of those podcasts as well. Okay, I think we kind of roughly enjoyed the Universal, would you say?
Yeah.
Are you glad you watched them all?
Yeah, I'm glad I watched them.
I mean, the classic ones are always worth watching.
Yeah.
So we watched quite a few weak ones too, but
Yeah.
I'd say it was
quite a few
mostly
weak ones
good
too.
with some weak. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
But there were some tip-top films in here. Some great, maybe even top 20 ever films. Maybe
Yeah.
Abbott and Costello, Bride, or Frankenstein, or Dracula. Maybe.
I'd probably put Abbott Costello at the top.
Yeah, it is a great film. I put Bride a bit above it, but I really love Abbott and Costello. I also really like Black Cat and The Adult House. I really enjoyed those. All right then, so we'll wind this up here. Bye from me.
Bye.